Kevin O'Sullivan had covered scandals, royal dramas, and political storms for decades, but nothing could have prepared him for the chaos that erupted on the set of Morning Focus Live that Monday. The studio was buzzing with tension even before the cameras rolled. Producers rushed back and forth, whispering updates into their earpieces. Assistants revised cue cards. And at the center of it all sat Kevin, cool as ice, flipping through his notes while sipping a black coffee. Today's guest was Meghan Markle. Her visit alone guaranteed high ratings. But the network hadn't invited her for glamour or friendly chit-chat. Meghan had just released a new documentary series, and her public statements had stirred up more controversy than anyone expected. Kevin, known for his blunt honesty and razor-sharp commentary, had been openly critical of her for months. This would not be a gentle interview. Meghan entered the studio with her usual composed smile, elegant dress, perfect makeup, and an entourage trailing behind her. Yet even she sensed something different in the air. She paused, glanced around, then locked eyes with Kevin. He nodded politely, but his expression remained unreadable. "Let's have a straightforward conversation," she said lightly as she took her seat. "That's the plan," Kevin replied. The red light blinked. "Cameras live. Good morning, everyone," Kevin began. "Today we have the Duchess of Sussex joining us to talk about her new series, her advocacy work, and, let's be honest, the ongoing controversies surrounding her and the royal family." Some viewers would later swear they saw Meghan flinch, but she maintained her poise. "Controversies created by the media," she responded smoothly. "There's a huge difference." Kevin raised an eyebrow. "Is that so? Because the public seems divided. Some praise your work, others say you're constantly playing the victim card." Meghan leaned forward. "People misunderstand my intentions. My goal is simply to tell my truth." There it was. My truth. The phrase Kevin had criticized many times before. "Your truth," Kevin repeated. "But truth is supposed to be objective, isn't it? Facts, not interpretations." Meghan let out a breath. "Kevin, with all due respect, you haven't lived my experience." "And with all due respect," he shot back, "your experience changes every time you tell it." Gasps echoed around the studio. A junior producer dropped her pen. The tension skyrocketed. But Meghan didn't back down. "Are you accusing me of lying?" she asked, her voice sharper now. "I'm accusing you of inconsistency," Kevin replied. "In your interview last year, you said one thing. In the documentary, another. The timelines don't match. The statements contradict. The public deserves clarity." Meghan's eyes narrowed. "The public deserves compassion. Understanding. Something the media rarely offers." Kevin tapped the papers in front of him. "What the public deserves is accountability. Especially from someone who claims to stand for transparency." The argument escalated quickly. Meghan defended her choices, insisting the media had twisted her words. Kevin countered with specific examples, asking her to explain discrepancies. Meghan grew visibly frustrated, struggling to maintain the calm composure she had walked in with. At one point, she raised her hand and said, "You're twisting everything. This is why people are afraid to speak their truth, because journalists like you attack them." Kevin didn't even blink. "If speaking your truth means rewriting events to suit your narrative, then yes, I will challenge that. That's my job." The studio audience, usually silent, murmured in shock. Meghan's team exchanged panicked glances. The camera operator mouthed, "Oh my God." Meghan's voice trembled. Slightly, not with fear, but with anger. "This interview is becoming hostile." Kevin replied calmly, "Only because you refuse to answer directly. You're trying to embarrass me on live TV." "I don't need to embarrass you," he said. "Your contradictions do that on their own." Silence. Deep. Heavy. Electric. Even Meghan's PR manager froze. Finally, Meghan pushed her chair back slightly. "Maybe this interview was a mistake." Kevin leaned forward. "Or maybe you weren't prepared to be questioned by someone who isn't afraid to hold you accountable." At that moment, the producers in the control room nearly screamed through their microphones. Many guests had walked out before, but Meghan Markle walking off Morning Focus Live would break the internet. But she didn't leave, at least not yet. She folded her hands, steadied her breath, and said, "Fine. Ask your questions. I'm not running." Kevin nodded. "Good. Because the next topic is the royal family, and why you continue speaking about them despite saying you want privacy." Meghan's face stiffened. Viewers could practically feel her anger through the screen. Kevin continued, if you seek privacy, why film multiple series about your personal life? Why write books about your struggles? Why give interviews detailing private conversations? Meghan inhaled sharply. Because silence protects the wrong people. And publicity protects you. Kevin countered. Her lips pressed together. She had no immediate answer. That's when Kevin delivered the line that would dominate headlines. You say you want to empower people, Meghan, but sometimes it feels like you're empowering yourself at everyone else's expense. Meghan froze. The audience gasped again. A single moment of stunned silence filled the studio. Even Kevin seemed surprised by the harshness of his own words. And then, Meghan stood up. Her chair creaked loudly. The cameras zoomed in. The room held its breath. She stared at Kevin, emotions swirling in her eyes, anger, hurt, disbelief. This wasn't just an interview anymore. It was a showdown, a live TV clash that would shake the internet. And it was far from over. Meghan stood there, trembling, not from fear, but from the shock of how far the interview had spiraled. A deep hush settled over the studio. Even the bright lights felt dimmer, as if the entire room were waiting to see what she would do next. Kevin watched her patiently, his expression calm but firm. He had built a career on confronting people with difficult truths. Yet there was something different about this moment. Meghan wasn't just another public figure, she was someone who could ignite headlines across the world with a single gesture. Finally, she spoke. You think you know everything about my life, she said, voice controlled but burning with emotion. But you know nothing beyond what the media feeds you. Kevin didn't flinch. And your version of events is always the only correct one. That's not what I said. It's what you imply, Kevin replied. Meghan exhaled sharply and sat back down, her jaw clenched. The camera crew looked relieved. Walking out would have ended the interview abruptly, and no one wanted to face the network aftermath. Kevin continued. Let's shift to something constructive. Your new documentary focuses on compassion. Yet many feel your public appearances often create more division than unity. What do you say to that? The word, division, hit her hard. She straightened her posture and answered, my intention is to spark difficult conversations. Growth comes from understanding boundaries, breaking toxic cycles, and standing up for yourself. If that creates division, maybe those conversations were overdue. Kevin tilted his head. So you believe every criticism is proof that you're doing something right? No, she snapped. But criticism rooted in hate or misinformation shouldn't dictate my choices. For someone who wants peace, Kevin said, you certainly stir a lot of storms. There it was again, the spark that kept reigniting the argument. Meghan leaned forward, her hands gripping the armrests tightly. You love provoking people, she said. You love framing me as some villain. And you love framing yourself as a victim, Kevin countered. Silence again, this time heavier. Meghan blinked slowly. When she opened her eyes, they glistened, not with tears, but with a fierce resolve. Do you know what it feels like, she said quietly, to have millions of strangers judge your life? To see every word twisted, every action magnified. I didn't choose that. I just chose not to stay silent. Kevin considered her words for a moment. The audience held their breath. Maybe, he said finally, but every choice has consequences. And you've made choices knowing the world would react. Meghan didn't deny it. I chose myself. I chose my family. And yes, I chose my truth. There it is again, Kevin said softly. Your truth, she sighed. Because no one else lived it. Kevin flipped one of his papers. Let's talk about your critics who say you use your platform to attack the royal family while benefiting from the fame that connection gives you. Meghan paused. Her fingers gently tapped her knee. I don't attack them. I speak about experiences. Experiences that shaped my life. But when those experiences involve the monarchy, Kevin replied, they aren't just personal, they're cultural, historical, and deeply public. The conversation shifted, but the tension remained sharp. Do you regret anything you've said publicly? Kevin asked. Meghan hesitated. Just for a second. I regret trusting the wrong people, she said. I regret thinking the media could ever tell my story fairly. But standing up for myself. No. I don't regret that. Kevin leaned back. Maybe the media didn't need to tell your story because you've told it so many times yourself. Meghan almost laughed. You say that as if sharing one's journey is a crime. Kevin replied, not a crime. But overexposure dulls the message. She fell silent for a moment. The cameras zoomed closer. This was the moment viewers at home would replay again and again. "Let me ask you something," Meghan said suddenly. Kevin raised an eyebrow. "Go ahead. Why do you dislike me so much?" The question stunned the room. The crew froze. Even Kevin seemed momentarily taken aback. Then he answered, tone even indirect. "I don't dislike you, Meghan. I dislike inconsistency. I dislike when public figures rewrite events to suit their image. And I dislike when people accuse the world of misunderstanding them instead of taking responsibility for the part they played." Meghan stared at him, processing his words. "So this is personal for you?" she asked. "No," he said. "It's about accountability. For everyone, including you." A flicker of something crossed her face, something softer, more vulnerable. "For the record," Meghan murmured, "I never wanted to be perfect. I just wanted to be heard." "And you are," Kevin replied. "But being heard comes with being questioned." The control room signaled that the last 2 minutes were approaching. Kevin inhaled deeply. "Before we end, I'll give you the floor. Say anything you want, without interruption." Meghan straightened, composed herself once more, and looked directly into the camera. "I'm not a villain," she said. "I'm not an angel either. I'm a woman who made difficult decisions in the public eye. I speak because silence cost me more than honesty ever did. And despite everything, every headline, every judgment, I still believe in compassion." Kevin nodded slowly. The interview had been fiery, messy, uncomfortable, but undeniably real. When the cameras finally cut, Meghan stood up again. This time, she didn't shake with anger. She looked calmer, almost relieved. Kevin extended his hand. Surprisingly, she took it. For the first time that morning, both of them shared a brief, genuine smile, two people who clashed on live TV but understood each other just a little better. The internet would explode within minutes. But in the studio, the storm had finally passed.